Let me ask you a question. Have you ever prayed for something, really prayed with tears, fasting, faith, and it didn't happen the way you hoped? If yes, then today's conversation is for you. We are talking about unanswered prayers. And trust me, this is not just theory, this is real life. I've been there and I know you have too. Stay with me because in this episode, I'll share four powerful lessons that change the way I see unanswered prayers. These are lessons that will not only comfort you, but also strengthen your faith when God says wait or when He even tells you no. And at the end, I'll give you one mindset shift that will completely change how you pray going forward. You're listening to Season Talks with Bims, a space for Christians who want to grow deeper in their walk with God. Each episode, we talk about faith, struggles, and how to live freely for Christ in today's world. I'm Beams, and I'm so glad you're here. Prayer is supposed to be this sweet connection with God, right? We pray, He answers, our faith grows, but sometimes it feels like silence. You pray for healing, but the sickness lingers. You pray for a job, but the rejection emails keep coming. You pray for a loved one, but things don't change. And deep down, you start asking, Lord, do you even hear me? Did I do something wrong? Are you ignoring me? If you've ever asked that, I want to tell you, you are not alone. Even the strongest believers faced unanswered prayers. Paul begged God 3 times to remove the thorn in his flesh, but God said, my grace is sufficient for you. Even Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. But the cross still came. So let's talk about it. Why does God sometimes seem silent? And what do we do in those moments? Now I'm going to talk about why prayers sometimes seem unanswered. The first point I'm going to touch on is that God has a bigger picture. We see just one piece of the puzzle, but God sees the whole thing. Sometimes what feels like a delay or denial is actually protection. Think about it. How many times have you wanted something so badly, only to look back later and thank God you didn't get it? I mean, I've had things like that in my life. I'm like, oh, thank God that didn't happen, and thank God it worked out this way. I'm very sure by listening to these, you are remembering instances like that in your life. The second point I noted down here is that it's not yet your time. Ecclesiastes 3 says, He makes all things beautiful in His time. Sometimes the prayer isn't wrong, it's just too early. It's just like planting seeds. You don't see the fruits the next day, but the roots are growing underground. Then the third thing I noted down in my journal here is that God's no is often a redirection. When God closes one door, it's not punishment, it's redirection. I remember praying about an opportunity I wanted so badly, but every attempt failed. Months later, a better door opened that aligned with my purpose. Looking back, I understood the no and I'm grateful for it. Then the last reason why your prayers seem unanswered is that your prayer is about relationship with God and not just transaction. What do I mean by this? Sometimes unanswered prayers remind us that God is not just a vending machine we put requests into. He wants a relationship. Sometimes He lets us wrestle in prayer so we can lean on Him and build a relationship with Him and not just the answer that we want. Now, let me ask you, what's one thing you've been praying about for a long time that hasn't happened yet? I know you thought of something. Hold it in your mind because as we go deeper, I want you to see it differently. Now, I'm going to talk about lessons for handling unanswered prayers. The first thing you want to do is don't stop praying. Even when the answer delays, prayer keeps your heart connected to God. Think of prayer less as asking and think of it more as breathing. You don't stop breathing just because you didn't get what you wanted. Then the second thing you want to do is shift from why me to what are you teaching me. So instead of fighting God in frustration, always ask Him to open your eyes to the lesson in the delay you're currently experiencing. That shift alone brings you peace. Then the third thing you want to do is anchor yourself always in God's promises. I mean, when your emotions scream, God has forgotten you, His word says, I will never leave you, nor forsake you. That keeps you going. The last thing you want to do is find strength in community. When you feel like giving up, sometimes it's your friend, your church family, or even someone like me here with you on this podcast that keeps your faith alive. Don't isolate yourself when you feel your prayers are unanswered. So, earlier when I started this podcast, I spoke about sharing a mindset shift with you. Now, here's the mindset shift I promised. Your prayers are never wasted. Even when it feels unanswered, God always responds in one of three ways. And those are yes, not yet, I have something better. So instead of thinking God didn't answer, remind yourself this: God is answering, just not the way I expected. If you're listening right now and you feel discouraged, I want you to know this: silence is not absence, delay is not denial. God is still for you, and sometimes His no is His greatest mercy. Hold on to this, and that is Romans 8, verse 28. It says, all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to His purpose. This means that even the unanswered prayers are working for your good. Thank you for spending time with me on this episode of Season Talks with Beams. I hope this encouraged you, gave you fresh strength to keep trusting God, even when the answers delay. This week, here's your challenge. Whenever you feel like God isn't answering, pause and say out loud, God is still working for my good. Say it until your heart believes it. If this episode blessed you, share it with someone you know who is waiting on God for an answer. And don't forget to join me for the next episode because we'll be talking about something we all face, and that's how to deal with comparison as a believer. You don't want to miss it. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, God bless you.